Wow, that opening Madison Rising music really was bumping. It was pumping and bumping in my ears. Maybe it's because I have a brand new set of studio headphones.
He finally did it.
Did you notice that I bought a brand new set of headphones?
Does this say SOTG on top?
No, they're Sony's.
Oh, it says Sony.
It says SONY.
Oh, I just saw SO.
Yeah, I got especially monogrammed Student of the Gun headphones. And
They actually look like Silver Sharpie.
No, and what I did is I took the old ones that we've been using for almost 2 years, and they were old when we started using them, and I put them in the plastic box that the Sony ones came in, and I didn't throw them away.
They're his favorite headphones.
And, yeah, they've been repaired and repaired multiple times with duct tape.
Yeah, those of you that have been to the Glass Case of Emotion and actually used the microphone, and you've seen the headphones.
Yeah, they're the ones that were repaired with black duct tape. Then I couldn't find the black duct tape, and I had to use a tan duct tape. But here's one of the things I really liked about them, though, Jared. And they're hard to find headphones with an extra long cord. Those have like a 4-foot cord on them, or 5 foot, or 6 foot.
Yeah, they make
or something.
extensions.
Yeah,
for headphones now instead of just giving them a long cord.
Well, I mean, those were tough to find, and they were Sony's, and they were really good. You know, folks, I tried, and this is not supposed to be a conversation about cans, but I tried others, and they just didn't give me the sound quality that I needed. But, well, anyway, the reason I put those in that plastic box and I saved them is because I thought maybe what we could do, we could pick out a favorite charity sometime in the future. And we could auction them off and donate all the profits to charity. But we haven't.
I'll give you $1 for them.
No, they're worth way more than that.
Okay,
I'll take a
$2.
Silver Sharpie and I'll write on them. But
I
anyway,
just doubled my initial offer.
All right, shut up. Anyway, so all right, folks, it's Tuesday, and crap. Can I say damn on public radio?
Yep.
I think I can say damn. Damn, I hate.
You can say damn and you can say ass.
Can you say those in conjunction with each other?
Yeah.
All right. But damn, I hate it when my ass is right. And I'm really, those of you out there in the dedicated hardcore Student of the Gun listening.
Did you say
audience,
ripe or right?
Right.
Oh, okay.
As in correct.
I just wondered.
You guys out there, hardcore listeners, dedicated listeners, when you hear things and you see things and you're like, I know, and you're beating your head against the wall, you're like, how is it that we can keep making these same mistakes over and over again when it's obvious and we know about it and yet we don't fix it? Well, here we are. What did I tell you? Well, I'm going to go back to the Grooveyard of Forgotten Favorites here. And you guys will recall, and this goes all the way back to episode 31. Now, episode 31 is, I'm looking for the date on it.
September in 2013. It's at the bottom.
Okay. Yeah, all the way back to September of 2013. And it
September 30th, 2013.
Okay. So it was right after the Kenyan mall attack in Nairobi, Kenya, when 4 Johnny Jihads decided they were going to go into a crowded shopping mall and just start and kill people, because that's what you do when you're Johnny Jihad. When you're a member of the death cult called Islam, that's just what you do. So they do that. We talked about it. We had a great discussion at length here on Student of the Gun Radio, and we mentioned to you why it was important that even though that happened in Nairobi, it happened in Kenya, and you're like, well, that's Kenya, that's Nairobi. I don't even know where that is. I couldn't even find that on a map.
Well, maybe you should get some maps.
Maybe you should.
Because I personally believe that U.S. Americans
don't have maps. That's all right. Jared's going to go ahead, and he's going to drop a little clip in here. And keep in mind, this was episode 31. It was all the way back to September of 2013. But he's going to play a little clip from that show, and it's going to sound a lot like me. But just to kind of give you let you know in case you're a new listener and you missed it.
All right, this is from September 30th, 2013, in 3, 2.
We have a well-coordinated military-style attack
on a very busy, crowded mall. And who did they attack? Well, pretty much anyone was there, but we're finding out that they were targeting specifically Westerners, people that could have potentially been Christians in this mall, anybody who was not one of them. Tell me again about the religion of peace. I'm waiting for you to tell me again about this. This was not an anomaly. This was not a single person who just went whack job and forgot to take their medicine. This was a very deliberate and purposeful attack, and it is part of a pattern of behavior that has been demonstrated for decades upon decades upon decades. And it used to be we were able to recognize the enemy and deal with them. But here we are in the enlightened age where we're so enlightened that we can't even recognize our own enemies. Well, they took down this mall, hundreds of people injured. The death count still isn't in. It was in the 60s, then it jumped into the 70s, and I anticipate by the time these... All right, that was from September of 2013, and you might ask yourself, you're like, every time one of these atrocities happen, and they're like, it's a tragedy. No, a busload of kids going off the side of a mountain is a tragedy. This is an atrocity. They're not the same thing. So every time one of these incidents happens, they attack our consulate in Libya and they murder our ambassador. Well, we're really angry and we demand justice. This is what the current administration does. They come out in public and they puff their chests up and they send out, sometimes you're busy golfing and you can't actually find a microphone, so you just send out one of your speakers and they go, oh, we're outraged and we're going to bring these people to justice. Really? You are? When are you going to do that? Because we're waiting, still waiting, and still waiting, and still waiting. After the smoke cleared on the whole Nairobi deal, they figured out where these little jihadists were from. They figured out where their parent organization was. They knew who their sponsors were. Jared, did they bring them all to justice?
Nope.
They didn't bring them all to justice? How about the people that killed our ambassador in Libya?
They actually gave them more guns.
Oh, we gave them. Is that how you bring people to justice? Or if you promise to be good, we'll give you some more money and guns.
Yeah, we trade hardware for freedom, or hardware for...
Well, or maybe we could just let some of their buddies loose back out onto the battlefield. Well, folks, that was then, and we told you, if you listen, I mean, it's the actual episode is about 50 minutes long, and we talked about it. We said, look, the reason you need to pay attention in the United States of America is these are workups for here. They're prepping for here, for the United States. And here recently, I talked to Jay Gibson, talked to Sonny Pazikas, and both of them in those conversations, we discussed the fact that all these little dual citizenship passport holders that are leaving Canada, leaving the United States, leaving other countries, going over there to Iraq and Syria and getting their little jihad on there, and then they come back. And what are they doing? They're hanging out in their mom's basements, cashing welfare checks, and then they spend some time on the internet, and somebody over in Somalia says, "You must kill the infidel," or someone in Yemen is on a Al Qaeda, Al Jazeera, Al whatever. Thanks, Al Gore, you scumbag piece of human filth. Giving them their marching orders. Now, they might not give them specific marching orders. They might just tell them in general, hey, it'd be a good idea if you and your buds went out and killed some infidels. Well, we know that, but we also know that, Jared, do you remember when it was where the little Johnny Jihad scumbags left Toronto? They went over from Canada over there to Syria, and they made a video of themselves burning their cards, and they Skyped an interview with that dude in New York. Remember?
Yeah.
And they're like, "Burger booger, ala jihad, blah blah blah." And then, what did they say? He said, "Our brothers back in Canada will be attacking you. our brothers in New York, inshallah, booger eater, goat rapist, will attack you, right? All right, and we pointed that out to you. We played the audio clip, and within 30 days, what happened? Does anybody remember? I know we've got the attention span of a squirrel with ADD, but does anybody remember what happened in Canada at the National Memorial there in Canada by Parliament, where a jihadist walked up to a soldier and gunned him down and then went running around shooting up the town? Do you remember that? That happened after the booger eaters told us it was going to happen. And remember what he said about the brothers in New York, inshallah, Dirk Jihad? What happened? Johnny Jihad, lone wolf attack guy, takes an axe, a hatchet, and attacks two cops on the street, screaming, "Aloha snack bar." Oh, those are just isolated incidents, and they have nothing to do with the religion of peace. People, and don't forget there was a separate Canadian attack that happened the day before the Parliament shooting, or 2 days before the Parliament shooting, that everybody's already forgotten about. And why is everyone forgetting about this? Well, because it might offend some goat rapists, and we don't want to offend the goat rapists. It's okay to offend Christians and Jews and everybody else, but they're special, and we can't offend them. Because why? Because they're the religion of peace? If they're so freaking peaceful, why are you afraid to offend them? Well, that leads me right into the story of the day. This leads me into the whole meat of it, but we would be remiss if we didn't give you a religion of peace update theme.
Das geht an die Oma des letzten Propheten Mohammed sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ich bin Allah so dankbar, ein Muslim sein zu dürfen. Das geht an die Oma, wir sind die Oma. Check das aus. Bismillah. Islam ist die Wahrheit. Wir folgen Mohammed.
Oh, I love that update theme so much. I love it so much. All right, this story comes to us from Minnesota.cbslocal.com. And the story's been all over the place, but this is one of the affiliates that we pulled it from. And the title is, Terror Group Threatens Mall of America, Others in New Video. You're like, what? You mean the religion of peace, love, and dope is threatening terror? Well, maybe they're like the Islamic State of Iraq and Syria, and they're misunderstanders of Islam. That's what it is. They're just misunderstanders of it. You know, one of 100,000 misunderstanders. Dateline, Minneapolis. The terror group that carried out the deadly attack at a shopping mall in Kenya is calling for a similar attack on a Western mall, specifically mentioning the Mall of America, amongst others. Al-Shabaab, a group linked to Al-Qaeda. Let's put the brakes on. Didn't Comrade Barry tell us that Al-Qaeda was destroyed and on the run? Like 3-4 years
victory,
ago?
Duh.
No. Comrade Barry got in front of a camera and told us before the 2012 election that due to his efforts that he had killed bin Laden and that Al-Qaeda was on the run. Apparently they weren't. Anyway, this group released a video today, and today was, let's go back to the date line on this turd, February 21st. Okay, so it's a couple of days old now. Released a video today, yada, 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 naming the Mall of America, the West Edmonton Mall in Canada, London's Oxford Street Mall. Well, London, they're screwed. They've already surrendered. London, like merry old England, they are a dead man walking. They've already lost. They just haven't admitted it yet. But they're done. They're done. They're gone. Canada, almost there. They're right on the brink of being gone. And then we have the United States of America. The documentary-style video highlights the group's 2013 attack, and that killed more than 60 people at the Westgate Mall in Nairobi, Kenya. And we've recently talked about that. We talked about the HBO did a really good job producing a behind-the-scenes, like a documentary After Effect deal about the mall. and I think it was called Terror at the Mall. You guys need to watch it. And if for nothing else, to realize exactly what can happen and who perpetrates it. Now,
Who did that documentary?
I think it was HBO.
HBO.
Yeah, it was HBO. So, or at least they released it. I don't know if they produced it, but it was on HBO. It was on HBO
Well,
Go.
where did you find it?
On HBO Go.
Okay. And what was it called?
Terror at the Mall.
Okay, Terror at the Mall on HBO Go.
So anyway, but hang on a second. If I were to do a LexisNexis search, which is silly because you don't need to do that anymore, and I were to go back to September, maybe October 2013, do you believe that the U.S. State Department came out and said that in the wake of the Nairobi Mall attack that we will bring these people to justice? Hey, how is it that if we're bringing these people to justice, how are they making videos threatening our malls? And they're doing like, hey, look what we did, and we obviously got away with it because we haven't been brought to justice yet. No, they haven't been brought to justice yet because that's just crap that the administration says to distract your silly fanny, and then so they can go back out and continue golfing, and then you can go out back to being a good little tax slave. So we're like, but Paul, we've heard this kind of stuff before. Yeah, we have heard it before. And what happens? Well, let me see. The booger eaters say that they're going to pull off attacks in Canada, that they're going to pull off attacks in New York, and then within 30 days, they do those things. What? Yeah. So here we got, and they're obviously emboldened because they're making videos telling us what they're going to do. Why would you think that they would not do it? I don't know. You tell me. Because they're nice? Because they changed their minds? Now, the Mall of America is where? Where is the Mall of America? Well, the Mall of America is in Minneapolis-St. Paul area. It's in Minnesota. Now, strangely enough, as cold as it is in Minnesota, what do we have up in Minnesota? And who is Al-Shabaab, and where did these turds come from? Well, we know that they like to hang out in Somalia, which is just a glorious resort location on the African coast. Where else, hey, Jared, where else do they have Somalis? Where do they have Somali Muslims that are rattling up a little bit of trouble?
In Canada?
No. I got a story here from May 28th, 2013. Two joggers on Fridley. Fridley Trail.
The trail in California?
No, where
was that?
It was in Minnesota.
Minnesota, that's right. I couldn't remember which one.
So a whole bunch of Johnny Jihads, Somali immigrants, peaceful Somali immigrants who are seeking asylum in the United States, attacked these dudes while they were out jogging. Now, what's up with that? That seems strange to me. I mean, you'd think when we let people come into our country seeking asylum and then we give them all a bunch of welfare and free food and free housing and all this other stuff, you would think that they would be appreciative of that fact. Apparently, they're showing their appreciation by attacking us. Now, I'm looking for another story right now. Do you remember where else we recently had a story, Jared, where some Somalis, some religion of peace people wanted halal food?
Oh, I thought that was near Detroit.
No. Hang on. It says Muslims on welfare demand that their free food meets halal standards. And guess where these turds are residing? Well, these turds are residing in Minnesota, eh? So we've got welfare recipient turd ball parasites demanding that the free food that they're given meet halal standards, and they're from Somalia. Then we have Muslims from Somalia attacking joggers on the trail in Minnesota. But Jared, where is the Mall of America?
It's in America.
Is it in Minnesota, eh?
Yeah,
it's in Minnesota.
It's in America. You know that, right?
So, certainly, there's no shortage of young Somali, Muslim, Al-Qaeda type sympathizer males in the greater Minnesota, St. Paul, Minneapolis area.
Definitely not.
No.
And if there
No.
is,
And
if this happens, it would definitely be an isolated incident.
It'd be a workplace violence
Yeah.
that is not at all related to Islam. Just remember that. So when your friends and family are laying bloody in the street and their lifeblood is seeping out into the ground, remember, it's workplace violence. It's not at all related to Islam. Oh, and it's your fault for being a racist. And if you were nicer to people, they wouldn't have to cut your head off. So we thought you guys would appreciate this. Now, before we move on, and Jared, you've got to call me on this stuff. If I don't introduce our sponsors, you need to put the flag up and say, hey.
It's in bright green. It's a bright green flag.
Yeah, did you mention it?
No, I thought you were going to get to it before we played the audio from that story.
Anyway, so before we get into it any farther, we want to acknowledge our sponsors because, quite frankly, folks, here's the deal. These cool carbon steel microphones and the black carbon steel microphones and my new headphones so I can hear better are here because we have sponsors, good people that sponsor us, that support us and believe in what we're doing. And that would include Velocity Triggers at velocitytriggers.com. They are designed for precision, so check those guys out. Brownells at brownells.com. Don't forget that they're doing, what is it, the Edge, the Brownells Edge program?
Brownells Edge.
And if you sign up real quick in a hurry, you can be eligible to win a super cool custom SDI pistol. XS Sights, the fastest sights in any light, and they're also the people that bring us the XS Good Guy of the Week each and every week. And SWAT Fuel at swatfuel.com. If you guys go to swatfuel.com, use the promo code SOTG2014, you save a grand total of 20% off your total order, and that is righteous. And then you guys know, or at least you should know, that every Wednesday we do the SWAT Fuel Fitness Tip or Fitness Talk brought to you by SWAT Fuel, and that's going to be tomorrow. Now, Jared, you see the next link we've got here?
Which one are you talking
From
about?
the Department of Homeland Security?
Yeah. No.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do. Scroll down, hippie. All right. Well,
are we going to play the audio from the first story or no?
Oh, didn't we play the audio from the first story?
No.
All right, let's play the audio.
I'm still way at the top of the notes here.
Oh, okay. Let's go ahead and pull the audio and exactly hear. Well, just hear what's going on with the little Johnny Jihads.
Terror group that carried out a deadly attack at a shopping mall in Africa is calling for a similar attack on a Western mall, and it specifically mentions Mall of America.
What if such an attack was to occur in the Mall of America in Minnesota?
Al-Shabaab, a group linked to Al-Qaeda, released this 75-minute-long video today. It names Mall of America, West Edmonton Mall in Canada, and London's Oxford Street as potential targets. The video highlights the group's 2013 attack at the Westgate Mall in Nairobi, where more than 60 people died. Mall of America released a statement today saying it's monitoring the threat with the help of federal and local authorities. Additionally, it says the mall has implemented extra security precautions. Some may be noticeable to guests. It goes on to say security will remain vigilant, as it has in similar situations. Security officials believe this is the first time Al-Shabaab has made a direct threat to the U.S.
Well, they're obviously scared of us. They're obviously afraid that we're going to bring them to justice, right? I mean, they should be. They should be. Every terrorist nationwide should be. They should be terrified that Comrade Barry and Lurch, they're going to bring American justice to their doorstep.
So is the security that's going to be vigilant, are they going to have firearms? Because they strictly prohibit firearms.
Well, I'm going to guess no. But is this the same security that can't keep guys from getting their iPhones stolen off their table at Starbucks? That's the same Mall of America?
And then beaten.
And then beaten, then like pummeled in the hallway. That's the so the same security, the same vigilant security that can't stop. And we mentioned this before. What is going on in Minnesota, eh? We've got all these glaring examples of just filth and corruption and nastiness going on. What is going on? Yeah, we've got roving bands of thugs in the Mall of America stealing people's phones, and then when they have the audacity to to say something or to disagree with the fact that their phone was stolen, then they attack them with blunt instruments and beat them in the hallway they beat that dude to like a bloody pulp, but he forgave them. So that makes it okay.
And they weren't going to he didn't want jail time.
He didn't want them to have
anything.
to go to jail. No, for felonious assault. We don't want those people to go to jail. We want them to get. Maybe we could talk to the State Department. They can get them jobs.
Speaking of
and free hugs.
Yeah. Speaking of State Department, etc. Let's move on to the next story and find out what the feds say about this.
Okay. So of course, the Sunday news crews. They were all at Saturdays and Sundays news. They were all at Twitter about this, and they're all like, "Ooh, we should talk about this until something else comes along, like the Oscars, and then we won't remember it anymore." But they had J-E-H, Johnson, the Department of Homeland Security chief. They brought him on, I believe it was NBC News, and they got real serious. And they're like, Jay, you're the head of security for America. What do you think about this? Should we be concerned? What do you think there, Jay? And this is the same Jay Johnson that's all up in arms that he's afraid he's going to lose some of his budget and some of his money here. Because what a bang-up, crack-up job the Department of Homeland Security has done here recently. I mean, they've been annoying and persecuting American citizens all up and down the Mexican border. They stopped those guys in Boston from leaving the country, learning how to be terrorists, and then coming back in and committing terrorist acts, right? Oh, no, that's right. They didn't stop them. But after the terrorist act was committed, well, then they went ahead and violated and just crapped all over everybody's constitutional rights, all over the Bill of Rights. But let's see what Jay Johnson has to say.
The Jay Johnson, J-E-H.
Yeah, J-E-H.
J-E-H Johnson.
Yeah, like Jah. I don't know what that is, but it's probably short for like Jehemiah or Jeremiah, or I don't know. And he's a Comrade Barry crony, so I really don't care. But let's just go ahead and see.
Give me an assessment of this threat. I mean, are you?
That's the reporter
is this something
guy.
Is this one of those things that we've got a whole bunch of security, extra security at the mall today? This is something we got to worry about all week. Is this something? I mean, can you give us a little more detail?
Well, we've seen this a number of times now, where a group will call for an attack on a country, on a specific location, and so we've got to be vigilant. So we ramp up security. There was a call for an attack on locations in Canada and Europe, and so in response to that, I ramped up the presence of the Federal Protective Service at federal buildings a couple of months ago. I'm sure that security at this particular mall will be enhanced in ways visible and not visible, but it also involves public vigilance and public awareness. If you see something, say something, has to be more than a slogan.
But at this point, you're not telling people not to go to the mall.
I'm not telling people to not go to the mall. I think that there needs to be an awareness, there needs to be vigilance, and, be careful, obviously. It's a new phase. We're in a new phase right now, and that involves public participation in our efforts.
All right, folks, I'm over here stroking out in the glass case of emotion because this is such crap. And I'm going to go ahead and pick it apart crap by crap. So what we've got here is Mr. Johnson says, be vigilant. See something, say something needs to be more than just a slogan. It's great for Orwellian communism, but let me see there, Mr. Johnson. You can call me Ray, you can call me Jay, but Mr. Johnson, if you see something, say something about a person who is a Muslim, who is a follower of the death cult called Islam, what are we told by the powers that be? That we're Islamophobic. And we get endless news stories about why is America Islamophobic. And then they even put out special news reports about Islamophobia in America and how Islamic people and Muslims and goat rapists are being discriminated against. Dude, if you see something, say something. Does that only count if the person is a Caucasian male Christian? Then you can. But if you point out, hey, that person over there, these people that you just let come into the country that are a bunch of ungrateful parasites, you see them over there? We don't see those people over there. We don't see them. When you have the Department of Homeland Security and those tools in blue shirts at the airport that are letting Muslim women in hijabs or whatever the things they wear, they're letting them go, but they're molesting little children and grandmothers and what have you. If you're a Caucasian male Christian, you're singled out at the airport. But we don't want to single out those people. You mean those people that we know are actually committing the terrorist acts? Well, yeah. So, bull crap. Don't give me this, if you see something, say something. That's a load of horse hockey.
How about if you see something, do something?
Oh, if you see something, no, don't do something. And don't say something if it's going to hurt someone's feelings.
Dad's been telling me this for a long time, and I've learned it a lot lately, within the past year, that we've got people that talk way more than they do. And quite frankly, I'm tired of it. How about you, instead of saying you're going to do something, how about you do it?
We're going to bring them to justice. We're going to bring them to justice until you forget about it so I can go back and golf.
On the board, excuses are worth their cost, ... nothing.
Yeah, nothing. So, first of all right, that's the first glittering jewel of colossal ignorance that this douche nozzle has to say. If you see something, say something. Shut up. We've been saying something for years. For years and years and years, Jay. We've been saying something. And what have you and your ilk, what has your administration done, Jay? Well, your administration, Jay, created the problem that we're currently experiencing. I don't care how they twist it or manipulate it. ISIS is a direct result of the current administration's capitulation and essentially surrendering and the global war on terror. Because ever since Comrade Barry took office, we've been failing. Yes, we have. Sorry if it hurt your feelings, but it is a fact. The rules of engagement were changed and were altered to put our troops in danger, but to protect our enemies. The rules of engagement in Afghanistan and Iraq, before we just gave up on both of those places, were so arduous and so strict that if a soldier killed a terrorist, an insurgent, or whatever you wanted to call him, the soldier was first thought to be wrong until he proved himself to be innocent. It's crap. It's baloney. We've been pointing it out for years, and I'm tired of it. And I'm tired of an administration that pretends like it had nothing to do with what's going on in the world. You've been in charge for 6 years. ISIS was not a problem 7 years ago. But your policies, basically your capitulation, your failures, your removing the troops. Hey, Jared, do we still have American troops in Germany today?
I believe so.
The answer is yes.
Yep.
Do we still have American troops in Japan, in Okinawa today? The answer is
definitely
yes. Are there NATO troops in Korea today? Yes, there are. Why is that? Because you can't just pull out and create a vacuum, which is, and you should know this because we screwed up in Vietnam. We pulled out, created a vacuum. The Khmer Rouge went nuts and murdered 2 million people, but that's okay because we're not supposed to remember that. We made that mistake then, and we did it again. We did it again in Iraq. We're like, okay, we were doing exactly, this is insane. It's maddening. It is the classic definition of insanity to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. We've been dealing with Muslim death cult terrorism for at least 40 years. I know we've been dealing with it longer than that, but let's just go back to Tehran. Let's just go back to the Carter administration when, And even back then, they're like student activists. No, they were Islamic terrorists. Student activists take over an embassy. Jared, riddle me this, because you were not born then. You don't have any inclination of it. But if I were to tell you that a group of student activists with protest signs could take over a United States embassy, not an office building, but an entire embassy compound
that happened
in a foreign country, and hold the embassy staff hostage for 444 days. If I were to tell you that today, if student protesters could take over an entire embassy, what would you think? Would you think I was crazy?
Yeah.
Would you think I was full of baloney?
Yep. I definitely would think that you were crazy.
But that's exactly what we were told and what we were supposed to believe in Iran, in Tehran, when student protesters, no, they were Islamic, they were fundamentalist Islamic terrorists, took over the United States Embassy and held our people hostage for 444 days. I know a lot of you guys went to public school. I know a lot of you are younger than 30 years old, and you don't have any recollection of this. But let's just go back to then, to the late 70s, 78, 79 time frame. Let's just go back to that. So here we are in 2015, and we're still playing this silly little game where we treat every action as an individual incident. Every terrorist attack isn't part of a big coordinated effort, and we're not going to go in and we're not going to destroy the countries that support them. No, we're going to treat each one. And how has that worked out for us? I'm going to go ahead and say not so well. All right, Jared, go ahead and look up the exact date while I'm talking to the folks that the embassy fell in Tehran. It was either basically the hostages didn't get released until Ronald Reagan took office, and that's because Jimmy Carter was the poster child for vagination. Before vagination was cool, Jimmy Carter was the poster child for vagination. And that puke face has been running around for 40 years trying to rejuvenate his image so that he doesn't die being known as the weak-willed, spineless piece of human filth that he is and continues to be. And I don't care how many houses Jimmy Carter built, he's a scumbag. And he sides with the enemy.
It says for 444 days from November 4th, 1979 to January 20th, 1981.
Okay. So, yeah.
After a group of Iranian students belonging to the Muslim student followers of the Imam's line who were supporting the...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so a bunch of student protesters. So imagine this, if you will. Imagine, if you will, a country that is led by someone that is so weak, so spineless, that a group of student protesters can not only take over their embassy, but can hold the embassy staff hostage for 444 days. That's right, folks. It's not the Twilight Zone. It would be the United States of America in 1979, led by James Earl Carter. Folks, if we can't end, if we don't even have the guts to protect our ambassadors and our embassies and our consulates, why should anyone in the world, why should any other aggressive power be afraid to make us mad? They're like, these people won't even protect their own embassies. They won't even protect their own ambassadors. They'll allow their ambassadors to be drug out in the street and murdered. They won't give their ambassadors armed protection. Oh, they'll hire locals. They'll hire local security people to provide for their ambassadors. It's disgusting. And Jay Johnson from the Department of Homeland Security, his answer is more federal intervention and more security at the malls. It's a joke. It's not even a funny joke. It's a sick joke. It's a joke that you're expected to believe. You're supposed to laugh and say, oh, good thing Jay Johnson with the Department of Homeland Security he's taking care of business. Really? Really? He's taking care of business? No, he went on Meet the Depressed or MSNBC or whatever it was, gave his little sound bites, and now he's going to go play golf somewhere. He's done thinking about it. But when more Johnny Jihads do kill more Americans, here's what's going to happen. You want me to put on my amazing Kreskin hat and predict the future? They're going to come out. They're going to do a press conference. They're going to talk about how outraged they are and about how this is a terrible tragedy. And we're going to bring these people to justice. And then they're going to go back out and golf some more because you, as an American populace, let them get away with it. All right. For those of you, go ahead.
You're telling them about all this bad, negative stuff it's probably going to happen in the United States. You're telling them about all of this stuff. How do they prepare? How do they prepare themselves for what's to come?
Okay. Positive actions that you can take. Number one, if you're not armed, be armed. If you're not trained, get trained. Oh, it's easy for you to say. No, it's not easy for me to say. It's not easy to do. It's going to take effort. EFFORT on your part. Is the effort worth it? I don't know. You tell me. Number two, have you had medical training? Yes or no? Well, what do I mean? Folks, we talked about the Nairobi thing. There were people who died in Nairobi that didn't have to die. They weren't shot through the face or through the heart with AKs. A lot of them were fragged. Some of them had exterior injuries, external injuries, arms and legs and so forth. And they laid there on the ground and they bled to death waiting for help to arrive. They didn't have to die, but they did anyway because the people around them didn't know what to do, didn't have the forethought, didn't have the ability to do anything. If you are, it doesn't matter whether it's a mall attack, whether it's a rollover car crash, whether it's just a lone crackhead trying to rob you, so they can get money for drugs. You're going to want to do something. The big question is, will you be able to do something? Yes or no? It's a yes or no question. And if you've been hemming and hawing around and dragging your feet and, all right, Jared, should I address my firearms instructor told me not to carry?
We don't really have time for that.
Okay, I'll say that.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
And nobody got time for that. So here's the deal. Number one, there's too many good schools out there in the United States of America for you not to have training. The only reason you don't have training is because you're intellectually lazy and you won't make the time to do it. Shut up. Shut up. Don't give me excuses. Excuses are worth what you paid for them. That would be zero. That would be nothing. All right? If you're listening to me, if you're serious, Jared, is it the police and the Department of Homeland Security, by law, they have to protect every individual citizen, right? Otherwise, then they violated the law.
No.
Is that correct?
No, I believe that a court ruled that the police actually have no special duty to protect you.
Oh, that's right.
As an individual.
The Department of Homeland Security has no legal duty to protect you as an individual, only society in general. So the fact of the matter is...
Think about it. If they had to protect everybody as an individual, nobody would ever get... there's not enough state police or...
No. Well, we know this.
Police in general to do that.
We know this. We understand this. The only person that actually cares about you and your family safety is you. That's the person who's responsible for it. Not me, not the DHS, not Jay Johnson, certainly not the Comrade Berry administration. They don't care. So if you want to do something, you need to be the one to do it. All right, folks, make sure you join us tomorrow. Tomorrow, Wednesday, we're going to be talking about our SWAT Fuel Fitness Talk. And the title of the episode is going to be Raped by the Rules. You're not going to want to miss it. Remember, you're a beginner once, but you should indeed be what? What ain't no country I ever heard of? A student for life.